Shane Williams, President and CEO of West Red Lake. We're regenerating the Madsen mine in Red Lake, Ontario.
How are you, Shane?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm surprised you're here. Aren't you meant to be on site?
Yeah, I was. I just came from site. I was up at site for the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Jumped on a plane and came to London.
Fantastic. And okay, let's deal with that bit first. So you're here to sort of meet current shareholders and...
Yeah, we've quite a few shareholders in London, actually, some we've managed to, some of the old Pure Gold shareholders, actually, we've managed to convert back over.
Right.
And we've got recently in a couple of finances, we've got quite a big few funds, actually, from London. So it takes the opportunity to come to the conference. I'm around for a few days next week, meeting some investors Monday and Tuesday, and then heading back. And then back to site again.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
I spent a lot of time inside.
I'll come to that in a second. Just you said something that's interesting. You say some of the old Pure Gold investors so they bought into the project and the new management team's idea. Yeah. So, but they obviously took a bit of a hammering previously, hoping to make some gains here.
Well, we're hoping to average down. They're averaging down.
No, that's a nice way of looking at it. And that's intriguing to me. I like that.
Yeah, because a lot of them, they actually got more the management, the previous management and some of the issues, and they got that. And then from that, then we just went back to them, had the discussion, walked them through some of the stuff we're looking at, how we're doing it, the approach, and some of them came back in. We managed to convince quite a few of them to come back in and go, because they like the asset. The reason they got in is they like the asset, they like the project and that sort of thing. So with the step approach we're taking, they've come back in.
Okay.
So
the gold hasn't moved.
The gold is still there.
It's still there.
And with today's gold prices as well, there's a big opportunity as well.
There's the big thing. Right, okay, you've been at site for a couple of weeks and you're going to go back there when you leave London. So it's last few yards of the race here. So what have you been focusing on?
Well, look, for the first part of the project since we took it over, we're really understanding geology. Really, we've spent a lot of time drilling underground. We've spent a lot of time developing underground. We've just really got a real handle. We've spent over, we've drawn over 50,000 meters of underground drilling on top of the drilling that's been done.
Right.
This is very tight space drilling.
Yeah.
Really understand the geology. So we're there now. We have a very good confidence. We've had 3 groups independently review it. I went out and got a couple of new reviews, independent reviews. So we're very confident on that.
Right.
So now what we've began to think about now is the next stage, which is underground development, getting mining set up. We have kicked off test mining, actually. We're going to do some test mining program to take some ore, compare it to the model, to kind of give that confidence to investors that, in this block of ore, we were hoping to get 3,000 ounces. We took a sample, we got 3,000 ounces, really cement that confidence. So that's ongoing at the moment. And we're buying a lot of capital projects. We've had our crusher show up, as you know, the history with the crusher. We've just bought a camp has showed up, mine facilities. So all that's beginning to move now. We're ramping up at site. We have over 150 people back on site now. So lots going on at the site, just getting that final bits and pieces ready. We've hired a new mill manager. We're starting the mill. Those are some of the stuff we're ongoing.
Okay, let's go back to the consultants, okay? Because I think it's important not to drink the Kool-Aid. You brought them in. Was it just generically check our data and make sure our assumptions are sensible, or is it very specific things that they were looking at?
No, basically, look, everybody I speak to talks about is the gold there.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about that because they understand that was one of the issues with the grade. They said they were getting 8 grams, they got 3 grams. So, part of that is, I've done a lot of these projects. It's always good to get independent reviews as you go along, just to make sure you're on the right track.
Yep.
And we've kind of given them all our data, basically, totally independent, and said, okay, based on our data, based on our drilling, build a new independent resource outside of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And they've all done that and come back very similar to what we're doing now. So that's kind of that's given us confidence that the approach we're taking on the geology, we're getting there,
And when you say they're all within a range, presumably, that was similar numbers to you?
Yeah, they're all within a range, as in they're confirming the resource numbers we have, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so that gives us a bit of confidence that the resource and the work we're doing is cementing together effectively.
Right, and I was like, when you ask your real estate agent, estate agent, we call him a realtor in North America, for an estimate for your house. They'll look at what the price of the house next door is, and then they'll come and say, I think it's this. So they do very, very little work. So in terms of the robustness of the process, how long did they have in terms of the process they went through with the data that you've got? And did you say to them, look, be tough on us. We'd rather have, we'd rather you point out something that was wrong and we find out now than later. So if you don't mind.
So, no worries. So really what we've asked them to do, a lot of them are, QPs themselves and have their own reputation. So that's important. So that they, they have that rigor. They're not like guys off the street, effectively. They're that rigor. Yeah. So what we've given them is all the data. That's all the data going back to historical data, the drilling that's been done. We've done 50,000 meters of new drilling.
Right.
We've created more robust models, more tighter models, because the previous management did 15-meter spacings, to give you an idea. We've kind of gone down to 6 meters, which tightens up everything and makes it a lot more clear. So we've given them all that data independently when we're working. Yeah. So some of it taking 4 or 5 weeks of really understanding the data, looking at the data, seeing what we've done, and coming back with their assumptions, their review. Some of it is questioning our results. Assumptions. Right. Somebody's saying, hey, is this a way to do it? Is this the way to do it? Yeah. Which gives you feedback as you're moving forward. So there's been a good interaction with them.
Okay.
But overall, the new robustness, which is important for me, I mean, they've confirmed the resource, but morely for me, they've confirmed that the process we're going through, which is very important, the process we're going through, as we take that resource, do the definition drilling, create the new kind of short term. We have this geo-confidence matrix now where we're ranking the drilling and the confidence in that area, and only then are we converting it to mine design. And they're very confident of that process.
Who are these people? Because what they've done in the past, I have to say, and the reason I push this is because I've seen this in the oil and gas game, I sit in the mining game, where these QPs, they're pretty much right sort of what they think may get them the next gig, another job from you, right? That's the thing, right? So have they been involved with actual mine builds themselves before?
Yeah.
Do they know what actually works, not the theory of what works?
One of these guys is ex-Kinross, he knows technical services. These are guys who have experience.
Okay.
One of the problems from previous, I don't know if you know the history, but it was they did a resource with some guy who's not known in the industry and did that resource, and that was passed over. Right? That sort of thing matters, really. Yeah. We had SRK, or the previous management after the failure had SRK come in and completely do the geology interpretation and take that forward. And then we've taken that resource, done a whole lot of other drilling and defined that better. So there's been a lot of process. And the team outside, which I really liked, is the team outside have developed this kind of geo-confidence matrix. What they talk about is, depending on the level of spacing, the level of data, the chip samples, the data, they rank everything. And then that ranking, only when it gets to a certain level between 1 and 5, only then is it handed over to the engineers to do mine design. And this process has something that the team developed and actually learned from the previous way of doing that. It's a learning, and that's been received very well by these guys on the process we're going through. Now, it's taken a bit of time to get there, and actually very near the end of the previous management, when they started to apply this, they started to turn it around. I don't know if you remember, they were getting very close to getting around, and that's part of it, that process.
Yeah, it just ran out of money, just guess. Yeah. Okay, so on the ground now, you've been, some people are accusing you of moving too slowly. But how do you, now maybe people are saying, well, should you be rushing this? So you're never going to please everyone all of the time, obviously. But can you sort of lay out the time frame to, you've got the camp arriving, you've got the people arriving, etc. What's the next sort of 12, 18 months look like? Yeah,
so just on that point, we have too slow, too fast. And so there's a point where we wanted to get to, not just about is it slow, is it fast? And, when we bought the asset, it's a mine ready to go effectively. Why are you waiting another year and a half really to go? That's some of our shareholders. And it was really around when we have that confidence in ourselves that we think we're ready. And that was part of where we are. So that wasn't a kind of a point of it's 12 months down the road, it's 16 months down the road, it's 15.
Yeah.
We wanted to get that confidence in the approach we have and the way we're building. So that was like just to answer that question, too fast, too slow. Again, everybody has their own view of it.
Yeah.
And again, there's been 50,000 meters of drilling. That's a lot of drilling, very tight space, on top of what's been done, really. That's not just brand new drilling. So now once that's in place, the idea now is all the infrastructure that we purchased has just began to arrive now. We had the crusher arrive 3 weeks ago, the camp is on site. That's really setting the base for setting ourselves up.
Yeah.
Now the next plan is we're ramping up with people on site. We have 150 there now at the moment. We're ramping up to probably 200, 250.
Has that been hard?
No, actually it's not been that hard.
Okay.
Actually, Red Lake is a very history of mining in Red Lake.
Yeah.
A lot of our people actually live in Red Lake. And actually we've been, we've actually managed to get a lot of people from other operations in the area. Okay. Some of the operations are evolution or mining there. We've managed to get some key people from that.
Yeah.
Newmont is going through that process with there in Ontario. So people are uncertain. We've got to get people from Musselwhite, etc.
Okay.
So we've actually been lucky in that sense to get people.
Right.
Some skills are harder to get than other underground mechanics. Some skill they're hard to get. We've hired some contractors to support us. So we've got the people so far that we wanted, and the camp will help because not all the people will live in Red Lake. They can't be all local. So getting some people to come in and fly out, the camp really helps that. And that's one of the reasons we pushed on the camp. And that's one of the reasons historically, the previous management, everybody was living in Red Lake, and it's hard to get accommodation, renting, etc. And when you want to ramp up with people, sometimes that's a challenge because you don't have actually accommodation for it.
Yeah. Yes, it's one of those sort of, like the more people you have there, the higher the rents are, the higher the margins, the more you got to pay them. It's
and then as soon as
little things, but it matters.
It matters. As soon as you realize as well you need people, all the rent prices go up in the town. Everybody takes advantage of it. And then what you're doing is you become an accommodations manager because you're trying to get people where they live. They all do they need cleaners? Do they need accommodation? Do they need busing from 10 places around town? And all that adds cost and adds process.
Yeah.
So, it's a small thing, but, our HR people end up becoming accommodation managers, and issues with, something gets broken in the house or something, and that all is detracting from actually mining. That kind of, these are the little things.
It's forgotten part of this.
It's forgotten. Exactly. And if you don't have a camp where it's one group, they're catering, they're managing the camp, it makes it easy for the guys. They go in, they get their food, they get good facilities, and they can go to work. They're happier in work. Otherwise, they're living in different places. They're being bussed around or trying to find food. It's a big problem.
I always like that side, the operational side of things, because you're creating a small town overnight, effectively,
you're
right?
Effectively doing
and let's get back to this kind of laying out the roadmap going forward. So, what are we looking to?
So now what we've done is got all the accommodation in place. We're just working on a pre-feasibility study.
Yeah.
And the idea is to kind of cement that as this is the project. People have seen us do a lot of work now, and they're like, what does it look like? Where is it? What we set the base of the project. That will have reserves on the book, kind of define that. So that should be done by early December, I hope.
Okay.
Get that done. We're doing kind of just a step back. We agreed with the board a number of milestones we would do before we even think about starting up. Obviously, the work we've done to date, this pre-feasibility is pretty key on that to get that locked down. And this test mining program, we're doing a test mining program at the moment.
Yeah.
So that test mining program will go on now till probably Q1 next year.
Right.
So there's kind of the key points.
Yeah. Can I just talk about PFS for I forget, which is expectation setting is really, really important, because sometimes these studies come out and it's like, falls off the edge of a cliff because people are expecting, I don't know what, unicorns and fairies or something, right? So obviously with pure gold, the numbers, economics sort of understood. We're in a much higher gold price environment. That kind of helps, right? But in terms of what should the market be expecting from you, in terms of, I know you can't tell us the economics, but which end of it should we be looking at?
So what I'm trying to do is manage the market expectations and put a very conservative number in there. People would be, I suspect people would be a bit disappointed in that number because I wanted to really, there was a lot of talk. As an example, when Pure Gold did it, they included all the satellite deposits together. It had resources and feed in. I've taken those away because people kind of said, well, you're diluting the others with Madsen and how does it look? They just wanted to see Madsen stand alone. So we've gone right back and just said, this is the Madsen project as it is.
We've still got those in the background.
We've all got those as upside, but for now, here's Madsen. Here's what it looks like. Pure Gold, the other team, the other management had us ramping up from 800 to 1,000 tons a day in over mine life. They had mining the 8, so I've kind of cut all that out. It's just, hey, this is Madsen, 800 tons a day, mine life, thank you very much. So I wanted to get that out there because we've done that de-risking work, and I wanted to get a base study in. Now, there's lots of upside, there's lots of things, but given the history of the asset, it's a bit early to talk about upside. Let's get what we have place in BOM. So that's been the pre-feasibility study. Once the pre-feasibility test mining is done, that sort of thing, we're working on some final financing as well. We're working on a bit of a debt financing, get that in place. They're kind of the milestones. Then we're looking into Q1, Q2, sort of a ramp-up, slow ramp-up. Probably back end of the year of getting it into our full sort of 800 tons a day ramp-up.
Okay, so keep it simple, stupid, I think, isn't it? A KISS.
Yeah, no, it is kind of keeping the project simple. What I don't want to do is I don't want to dilute the project itself by, we can put, look, the mill can go, 1,500 tons a day. The mill can do all this and can go faster. There's other projects can bring in, but
you get there.
You get there. We get all that down the road, but I think it's important for investors to see this is Madsen. We can get Madsen back into production in the mine. It generates cash flow. It's positive. Okay, then we can talk about upside.
And you're not going to blow out that kind of capital structure by aiming too big too soon without knowing the basics.
Yeah, we do need to know the basics and what it would take. And look, it's a difficult ore body, and you got to get that right. I think you got to keep your focus on that. See what you need to do that. Focus on that. Then you can talk about expansions and all such things. It is a good market. It would be nice to talk about the upside and lots of upside. We've decided to just have a base project at the moment.
Right. And clearly, I think most producers are happy at 25.50 gold.
Yeah, I mean...
Obviously, skirting up around 2,800 the other week was lovely, but these are good numbers.
No, it's funny. I was up there last week. I met some of the old timers who worked there. They were all excited when gold went from 325 to 425. That was the sort of, they were all up. Now we're in the gold market of 2,700.
Different cost structures, I would say that.
It is. It was harder work, though.
It's interesting because this will be a fresh PFS, because I've seen a few companies this week who've come out with their quarterlies, and you're going, actually, the cost base is still rising somewhat.
It is,
it hasn't completely disappeared.
No, it hasn't disappeared. No,
so
it hasn't disappeared.
Not
one of the actual advantages we have in that is, obviously, we have all the capital we have. So there's not a lot of go-forward capital, which helps the project. And the other one is, as I said, we've been mining there now underground and drilling and everything for a year and a half. So we have a good understanding. This is not like a pre-feasibility that we're making some estimates or some benchmarks. This is like actual costs we have. We've actual costs of fuel, diesel, power. So we have those actual, they will be baked in. Actual costs, So that makes it much more robust in our
predictable.
View. Predictable on the real cost. Sometimes you're doing a pre-feasibility and the project is 2 years, 3 years out. You make some estimates of what you think it'll be, capital estimates, and then what happens is when you go to build in 2 years, you have some issues. We have actual costs. We have a year of data now that we can use on a go-forward basis.
Because
that's important.
Yes, and again, you've seen that happen, and people get that a bit of a shock when things change. Of course, they're going to change. Look, Shane, I know you've got places to be. I'm getting waved at over here, telling me it's time to shut up. So I will. Great to hear what you're doing. I mean, obviously, not long to go, it feels like. Not long to go at all. So we'll wait for the end of the year. We'll see what the PFS looks like, hopefully at the end of the year. PFS looks like, and that will give us a sense of what this thing can be.
What this thing can be. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's good.